Hi, I'm Victoria Alexander. Welcome to my kitchen. In my new book, His Mistress by Christmas, conveniently right here on my kitchen counter, my heroine is introduced to a number of family Christmas traditions. So I thought I'd introduce you to one of my families. Most of our family traditions are centered right here in the kitchen and revolve around food. Go figure. On Christmas Eve, we have a meatless meal that's inspired in part by my husband's Eastern European heritage and my family's Italian background. But the meal itself is uniquely our own and has evolved through the years. Now it consists of my husband's potato pancakes, shrimp scampi, and tomato soup. This year, since my kids are a little older, I want to do something a little different than traditional tomato soup. So I'm going to make a Tuscan bread and tomato soup. This is something we learned how to make a couple of years ago when we went to a cooking school in Italy. And yes, it was a fabulous time. Well, I thought in my infinite wisdom, instead of just putting a recipe up for you all to read, because frankly I don't believe in measurements, my mother didn't measure and my grandmother didn't measure, I would do a cooking video. I would show you how to make this soup. Hey, I watch the Food Network, I watch MasterChef, I watch Top Chef, and I used to work in TV. How hard could it be? The answer is really, really, really hard. The first time we tried this, the video was awful. There was more spice in the audio than in the soup. And actually, while trying to get the shots right, the soup burned. However, not being one to give up, I decided we would try this again. So this time, we're going to get it right through the magic of editing. So here is how to make my version of Tuscan bread and tomato soup. This is a really simple recipe. All you need is a couple of leeks. I used 2 of their big ones, 3 of their little ones, a can of diced tomatoes, another can of water, a bunch of basil, some olive oil, freshly cracked pepper, salt, and cubed Italian bread. First, we're going to chop and wash the leeks and then saute them in olive oil. Now, this is the point at which I'm always tempted to add garlic because garlic really does go well with anything. But you want to resist that temptation because this soup has a nice, fresh tomato flavor and we just don't want to let anything compete with that. Once the leeks are nice and soft, we're going to add our tomatoes. Now, I like to use petite diced tomatoes, but I've also used crushed tomatoes, or you can use whole tomatoes and just cut them up yourself. It really depends what you want. Remember, this is a rustic dish, so you can do just about anything you want to it. And then we fill up the can with water and we add that water to it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this on a medium heat and we're going to let this cook for about 10 minutes. We want it to reduce just a little bit, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, but not too much because remember we're making a soup and not a sauce. Once we've reduced it a little bit, we're going to add our basil and salt to taste. And I'm just going to throw in some salt there because that's going to be great. Now what we're going to do is bring the heat back up and we're going to boil this for 5 minutes to just let everything, all those flavors infuse and work together. So once you've let it boil for about 5 minutes, you want to turn off the heat or take it off the heat. Now you want to add your bread. And what I do is I chunk up an entire loaf of Italian bread. You can cut it or you can just rip it apart if you want it to look a little more rustic, but you need to try and make it about bite size. And you want to use stale bread because fresh bread just kind of dissolves. So you put enough bread in here to fill up the pot and mix it in, and it's going to absorb all the liquid. And now we're going to let it sit and it should be ready in about 10 to 15 minutes. Once the bread has absorbed all the liquid, it's ready to serve. Just scoop it into a bowl. Actually, this has enough body that you could scoop it onto a plate. Now, all we need to finish it off is just a little drizzle of olive oil, some ground pepper, and grated cheese. And that's it, Tuscan bread and tomato soup. This soup is terrific any time of year, but I think it's going to be wonderful for Christmas Eve. And you know, nothing goes better with good food than a good book. So from my house to yours, have a wonderful holiday season. Enjoy.